Hello, we are Thomas and Uriol, and we will talk about our experience setting up a multilingual website for our project documentation and governance and so on. Our project is ArviZ, which is a library for exploratory analysis of Bayesian models, which includes everything that has to do about Bayesian modeling, but is not inference and sampling. So uncertainty visualization, parallelization, diagnostics, model comparison, and different kind of checks for calibration, sensitivity, and so on. And we have around 1 million weekly downloads from PyPI, but it's also a topic that is not very popular among the Bayesian modelers, and there are a lot of inference libraries, only one for the other stuff. We are a community and volunteer-driven project. We have publicly available governance and nominally a team of 19 contributors, but we actually have 2-3 active maintainers and then 5 who are more or less active, not as consistently. And one of the maintainers works at Aalto University, and with it is part of their job to contribute to ArviZ, because that research group uses it extensively and develops algorithms that then we also integrate into ArviZ, which is the closest thing that we have to a staff role for the project. Before being now at Aalto, he was working in Argentina. And so it was actually one of the reasons we considered adding translations for the project website, so that the governance, the role of institutional partners and sponsors, and all these kind of things that we have defined in the governance were also covered and explained in Spanish, because he was working with CONICET. And the other main reason we considered to add translations is that I am Catalan, which is a minority language in Spain, France, and Andorra. And I am always trying to use more Catalan, because otherwise I can barely even go grocery shopping. Next slide. In general, why is it important? Why should people consider using translations? Is first prong is participation. There are a lot of people who cannot participate at all if everything happens in English. And if they can participate, they have way more barriers in that. They take longer time to read, to write, to review, and might simply abstain from participating because everything is in English. The other one is that even the people who can participate, like Thomas or me, but don't have English as their main language, it can also make people not feel as welcome, or not see themselves progressing to leadership positions within that community, because English is the only kind of valued language.
Okay, do I continue from here?
Yep.
Okay, what do we mean by translating? Translating is the process of adapting the content from one language to another. Localization extends translation to also adapt other non-textual components, and internationalization refers to the solutions that allow the software to adapt to the different regions without requiring changes to the source code. Before talking about how we do translation, we want to mention some success stories. For example, the official Python documentation, which you can find at this link, and we have also added to the notes, is translated to 13 languages, and there are some languages in progress. Our OpenSci has also 4 languages available. Not the not everything is in the 4 languages. English and Spanish are fully translated, and they have the other 2 languages, and also IDE, which is open source Spider, they have 2 languages available. Okay, I'm going to talk about how we do translation, or what the workflow looks like when you are translating from a main language, which in this case is English, to other languages that we support, such as Spanish and Catalan. What we have here is a summary. We are not presenting all the details, but it all starts with the source files, where you have your original content, and we are going to talk about messages. So you can think of as each unit of text, for example, a title, a paragraph, the name of a person, as being a message. And those are, in our case, in MyST Markdown files that are in the GitHub repository of ArviZ. From those files, you have to generate translatable messages. And to do that, we use Sphinx, and we generate the PO files that we then use for translation. Translation doesn't happen in our local. Well, we use our machines, but we use a platform called Transifex, which provides a web UI, and we use that web UI to translate messages from English to other languages. And once the translation is done from English to the other languages and approved by a reviewer, we pull translations into the website, which means pushing to GitHub and building with things, and that happens with GitHub Actions. As I mentioned before, we use Transifex, which is a translation management system, and it has a cloud platform, which is the one we use when we translate online, and it also has a local client, which you use to interact with the things that you have translated. What's very important is that it allows you to collaborate between developers and translators, and you can have multiple translators. You can have different roles in the platform. That means someone can translate, for example, someone new, and someone more senior in the project can review the translation and merge that into the repository. It has a translation memory, which is very nice when you have the same message in different files, so you don't have to translate it all the time. And we also mentioned it's proprietary software, but there's a free trial for open source projects like ArviZ, so we don't have to pay. A summary on how to use it: you have to create a project, setting source language and target languages. You have to push the PO files. Translators work on the translations. Then you can integrate it with GitHub and directly move translations from Transifex to GitHub, or you can work locally, and then you review all the changes and the generation of the documentation and push everything to GitHub. And in our case, that's it. This is a view of Transifex, and you can see here that we are in the ArviZ project website, and we are translating from English to Spanish, and these are all the different resources we have. For example, core contributors is partially translated, but there are 13 untranslated messages. elections is fully untranslated, and we have 37 messages to translate. We click here, and it gives us a view where we can see the message, all the messages in the source, but we have some of them untranslated and 0 unreviewed because they were not translated. We pick the message, and then this is the original string, and this is where we write our translation. And this is a suggestion thanks to the memory. We write the translation, we save it, it appears here, and it means someone needs to review it. There's still a lot of work to do. It has something called fuzzy matching, which means when you have a new message that is not translating, but you used to translate something similar in the past, it tells you, hey, you have translated something similar in the past. I'm going to use the old translation, but it's not great. As you can see, Oriole switched from Twitter to Mastodon, and the system is saying, hey, you can still use, I can still use your old Twitter handle. When the message changes a lot, there's no fuzzy matching. We had an old message, a new message, and the translation is completely discarded. There are some inconsistencies. For example, we don't know yet what in the whole process makes this, but there are changes in spaces, and then the diffs look weird without us changing anything.
In our case, it's only 3 of us working on the translations, but for larger teams, there are a few things that you need to take into account to ensure collaboration between translators, such as division of labor. Will somebody translate a whole page or message by message? You should have usually a still guide to define the person, the tense, the gender for gender languages, these kind of things, and also a glossary so that common terms have a common translation. And to finish, some things that we have learned from maintaining this small language of the different website is that translation is not something that you start, you translate, and you finish. It's always something that is a cycle, which has a constant cost of maintenance because the source changes and you have to continue translating. The good news is that in general, this maintenance cost decreases with time as the translation memory builds, even if you're not using AI, which we aren't. And but it's important to keep this in mind. So for instance, in our case, we translate the project website with the governance, the description of the team, the sponsors, and so on, but not the technical documentation of the library itself. And then finally, some resources.